Welcome everybody to Sound Money Matters episode 3. We have an amazing guest today, and for those of you that are watching us for the first time, my name is Daniel Diaz. I'm the executive director of Citizens for Sound Money, and our mission is to promote the use of sound money and protect people's rights to do so. And we do that through the legislative process by passing laws to get rid of all the friction against using gold and silver or sound money as legal tender, getting rid of sales tax, capital gains, and elevating it to the same level as Federal Reserve notes by making it legal tender. And we also have our 501c3 organization, Sound Money Movement, which the purpose of Sound Money Movement is to educate people of all generations on the necessity of sound money for a free society and a free economy to exist. So our next guest is a good friend of mine. He works for a company called Alpine Gold Exchange, which is a partner with Citizens for Sound Money. In fact, Larry Hilton has lobbied with us in Florida, Texas, and helped us with the Sound Money movement. In fact, Alpine Gold Exchange used to be called Citizens for Sound Money, and when our late founder started using that, Larry Hilton and him had a conversation, and after listening to what we were doing in our mission, Larry allowed that. So the person that we have on board as a guest for episode 3 is Gary Barsdorf. So everybody welcome him. Gary, how are you doing?
Hey, very well indeed. What an honor to be on with you, Daniel. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as our tradition that our late founder Jim started, we ask every one of our guests one question first. Why is sound money important?
Dude, that is such a profound question that I would need about 3 weeks to answer it. But in the interests of time, sound money is important because it democratizes people's ability to interact one with another and exchange for goods and services that are tactile and or immediately available, as opposed to a fiat, which is a paper rendition of an exchange mechanism contrived by governments and authorities in various jurisdictions that is used basically to control the behaviors of the inhabitants of those jurisdictions. Some would call them citizens. But sound money is God's money, and that is what we were imbued with at the beginning of the world. Actually, was mechanisms of being able to trade goods and services for tokens of exchange considered valuable, which of course gold and silver have held those positions, and other precious metals since the inception of history. So sound money, Daniel, is a democratization of exchange and an ability to transfer wealth, goods and services, other than through the mechanism of cows and sheep and other traditional, or seashells or whatever it was that was used back in the day. So when humans were able to extract and form gold and silver into some sort of into a handleable commodity, then that is when civilization was able to progress and develop. Daniel, I don't know if that's an accurate, less scientific answer, but that's my perspective, shooting from the hip, Daniel Diaz.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's something that we talk about in every episode. And I say, and Jim has always said that, silver is freedom, gold is freedom, because we as people, we chose the best form of money, medium exchange, unit account, and store value. And that has been gold and silver for 5,000 years. And why it's important is when government takes control of the money, they usually debase it, which steals the economic energy of the people. They use it to coerce other nations, like the United States have been doing against others with these what are they called when they not censures
Tariffs.
tariffs. What they did with Russia and
Oh,
when they invaded Ukraine. What is that called? I forget. Can't believe it's not coming to my mind.
well,
Um,
when they like
sanctions.
they took
Sanctions.
which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they took Russia off the SWIFT system as
Yeah.
a mechanism, as an infrastructure. Yeah.
No, and
Or sanction. Yes, I got you. So the sanction as yes, yeah, exactly. Any digital or any other mechanism of transfer can be sanctioned. That's right.
yeah,
At the wave of at the wave of a pen.
right. But when the world used gold and silver, it didn't matter who coined the money, coined the
Yeah,
currency. It was gold and silver. It's fungible across the world. You can't sanction gold and silver
you
because you can
cannot.
always melt it down and change it into something else.
Yeah,
And when you have fiat currency and the government controls that currency, it's just theft. They coerce other nations, and then, as you know, fiat currency is a mechanism of government for perpetual wars. It's one of the stages of empire, and we can keep going down that road. But I want people to know who you are, and that is the second question. Tell us about your background. How did you become the business development and strategic alliances um, officer, a position manager? I'm not exactly sure what that is, but go ahead and share with people about your background.
well, really quickly, in South Africa as a young man leaving the South African Navy during the cold, at the end of my service contract and beyond, actually, I entered into a financial broking environment and became acquainted and started raising funds for for publicly but unlisted gold mining companies, and had the wonderful privilege and opportunity to go into actual underground mines, learn the difference between iron pyrite and real gold very quickly. Iron pyrite, ergo fool's gold. But the point being is that and also coming from South Africa, Daniel, gold mining and mining in general was a mainstay of the South African economy then, and still is now, although much more contrived and much more controlled. But the point being is my awareness of gold and the importance of extraction and the proper utilization was embedded as a younger man, and also knowing subsequently that the Krugerrand was one of the very first bullion, if not the first bullion coin, sovereign bullion coin minted was from South Africa, the Krugerrand. So I've been involved with that. But then, coming to America, I had to do all sorts of different things until I eventually got into retail. Was there for about 8 years. Got into into carbon steel. So I was involved in the steel industry for about another 8 years, and now fortunately had the opportunity, a wonderful opportunity, through reading an article in the Epoch Times newspaper at the end of January 2022. On page A9 of the national section, had a full-page, full-color article about the Goldback. I did a little bit of research, found that the company was headquartered in Alpine, Utah, reached out through LinkedIn, had a meeting with Jeremy Corden, and then was introduced to Mark Hilton, who's the current president and CEO of Alpine Gold Exchange, began consulting with them in the February of 2022, and that progressed to a full-time engagement on the 11th of May 2022, and have been drinking through a fire hydrant since then. Absolutely delighted and thrilled to be involved with like-minded people. We're all of the same ilk and of the same tribe. It typically, Daniel, what I found is that folks that are attracted to sound money are also very much aware of sound governance, sound health, and also the medical, industrial, pharmaceutical, agricultural complexes that and military industrial complexes that run the world, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a huge, big, cavernous rabbit hole that folks can jump into. But boy, I can say to you that there's what we are fed on a retail level for, there's retail news, and then there's the fundamental wholesale news. And that's really typically where folks that are aware of what money, the difference in money and currency, Daniel, people that understand the difference in money and currency are also the ones that typically understand how the world actually works, the mechanics of the world, other than what we are fed, the candy floss, the cotton candy that we fed through the retail mainstream media and other places. Daniel, hopefully that was a succinct enough answer, gives you a little bit of background from my perspective, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's you're right. The Krugerrand, it's actually one of my favorite bullion coins. It's a sovereign coin, and you guys in South Africa produced 90 to 95% of all bullion until like the late 80s, early 90s. So
Exactly.
the world is flooded with Krugerrands
Kruger
because
and
yeah.
Daniel, you know what? I recently encountered, and just a quick off a sidebar, I recently encountered a colleague of the Krugerrand, which is called the Big Five. And so, Daniel, they have the elephant, the lion, the wildebeest and other, probably the rhinoceros, but the big five game that are ubiquitously known amongst hunters around the world. They have now a series of sovereign coin minted by the South African mint that is called the Big Five, and I acquired recently a couple of elephant ones, and couldn't be more thrilled with those. In addition to the Kruger Rand, now on a political basis, Paul Kruger was one of the leading sort of voortrekkers that explored the hinterland of Southern Africa on an ox train, very similar to the way the frontiersmen came across west from the east, across the plains of America as well. So in terms of exploration of the hinterland and parallel histories, South Africa is a kind of a microcosm of what happened in the United States, also in a similar time frame, FYI, sidebar, but just absolutely thrilled to acquire some of those coins and also to understand the role and importance that South Africa had. Couldn't be more honored in the development of bullion coinage and sovereign coinage back in the day, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something you said when you were talking about your background. There's something about those of us that are in gold and silver that is at the forefront of pretty much the entire community. Freedom and liberty. That's the connecting factor. When you look at Ron Paul, and you look at what he did, he shined a light on the reality of the Federal Reserve. And that's what triggered Larry Hilton. And I said in my intro that Alpine Gold was Citizens for Sound Money. No, it was United Precious Metals Association was
That's right.
originally Citizens for
That's
Sound
right.
Money. So that's my error. I'm correcting myself. And that's what triggered Larry. So Ron Paul triggered Larry to get into the movement and pass the first legal tender legislation in the country in Utah. And then it triggered Jim to get into gold and silver, and so many others, thousands. It started an entire movement called Campaign for Liberty, which became Young Americans for Liberty. And that is something, people, when they think about gold and silver stackers, and what we talk about when it comes to monetary history, they immediately think we're conspiracy theorists with tinfoil hats and so forth. No, what we understand is true monetary history, and most people don't look at their history, because if you don't know where you come from, you're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. And most people in the sound money movement, that's the gold and silver stackers, we dove deep into the history of humanity and the rise and fall of empires and the common link of the debasement of currency and the theft of the people.
100%. That is such a very valuable comparison to make. That's what I said. Also, awareness of the importance of sound money, gold and silver in civilization
Yeah.
leads to the freedom of thought and liberty of philosophy amongst the common man. Absolutely, Daniel. True.
Yeah.
Very true. In fact, that should be a fundamental core area of study for every school. Every elementary and secondary school in the world should be the understanding of mechanisms of exchange in society and the rise and fall of empires. Daniel, well said, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what our goal with our 501c3 sound money movement is. We are looking to in the future, because we got a lot of stuff going on. We're going 110 miles an hour with Citizens for Sound Money and with our sound money merchant seminars, which you're actually going to be coming with me this weekend to Missouri to train merchants and individuals on how to use gold and silver as legal tender, and so they can buy and sell goods and services with gold and silver. And it's so important that when I say gold and silver is freedom, that's 100% true for the sound money movement. And I think we've been vindicated over the last year, 2 years, with this bull run that we have. We've had a little bit of a correction this week, But nothing goes up forever. There's always going to be a correction. But with the macro trends that I think people are seeing in the news and with other sound money advocates and analysts, we don't really see gold and silver really retracing back to $2,000 or whatever. I think that it's going to continue to go up because of the amount of theft and debasement of the currencies of fiat currencies around the world. So, because gold and silver is freedom, and we truly believe that if you fix the money, you fix the world. It's one thing to pass sound money legislation. It's a completely other thing to implement that law and use that law on a daily basis, and that's why our C3 Sound Money movement is doing these seminars. So, since you work for Alpine Gold and you have a strong relationship with the UPMA, United Precious Metals Association. Tell the audience like what sound money solutions are there out there with Alpine Gold and UPMA, and how can people start using sound money today, physically and electronically?
Well, Daniel, thank you. There's a lot to unpack. Then you've asked me like 4 questions in the space of one sentence, but allow me to summarize it. You mentioned silver and gold stackers and so on and so forth, Daniel, and Warren. Berkshire Hathaway. Help me, Daniel.
Warren Buffett.
Yes, geez. Like the sanction word, right? It slipped our mind. But anyway, Warren Buffett said gold is it's like it just goes from one hole to another and you can't really use it. What the UPMA has done over the since 2011, when it was formed after the passage of the Utah Legal Tender Act in 2011, language written by Larry Hilton, by the way, is bridge the physical with the digital world by liquefying and digitizing verified US legal tender gold and silver holdings. Then, of course, a word that we haven't yet mentioned in today's conversation is the advent of the Goldback, launched in the August of 2019, helped fractional gold to get into the hands of Main Street America, not only through Alpine Gold Exchange and the UPMA, but through a whole plethora of distributors that they have around the nation, including Citizens for Sound Money. Anyway, long story short is these gold holdings and silver holdings in the United Precious Metals Association can be stored there as a store of value and a store of wealth, and only transferred out of that as needed into, say, a prepaid debit card or back into your commercial banking system, into fiat. And one of the huge benefits of membership in the United Precious Metals Association, as administered by Alpine Gold Exchange, Daniel, and I'll clarify that here in just a second, is that the United Precious Metals Association bylaws makes it available that each human being living member, now understand that members can have multiple accounts, but each human being can liquidate up to $10,000 worth of metal back to fiat without any buy-sell spread at the day's rate. So in this year, for instance, if a month ago you would have bought gold and silver and then you were able to liquidate at a zero buy-sell spread, you would have made arbitrage on yourself. You would have made yourself a profit of, whatever it was, whatever it rised up in the last month, Daniel. That's one key benefit, Daniel. We also have self-directed IRAs that are administered by American Estate and Trust, where we have a direct visceral connection with those folks as well. We have a borrowing program where you can borrow gold and silver from yourself, so you can become your own decentralized bank. Each and every member of the UPMA is his own bank, using his own reserves, gold and silver, as its repository of value, and then liquidating or liquefying or returning back to fiat only as needed. Thank you so much for following up on the various slides that you've got, or at least the pages on Alpine Gold Exchange. And then you'll notice that the UPMA also has also messaging as well, Daniel. But is that good enough as a departure point for the question that you asked me about why I become a UPMA member?
No, it's perfect. And then speak a little bit about the merchant program and how there's merchants that have signed up with Alpine Gold, UPMA, and Goldback, and how that works with the UPMA system, the Alpine Gold system.
Thank you.
Bec-
That's a great question.
Yeah, and because we actually did a transaction a while ago, I had a silver Krugerrand that you wanted, and we did a transaction within the system. So share with the audience how that works and how there's no fees and so forth.
That's right. So another attribute of the United Precious Metals Association is that there's a member-to-member peer-to-peer transfer sans fees, no fees. Like if you were to use any crypto exchange or even a bank mechanism, there would be some sort of interchange or some sort of fee imposed. Whereas in the United Precious Metals Association, also one of the bylaws there is member-to-member peer-to-peer are free. Now, at the very moment, and I'm going to get back to the merchant aspect of this in just a second, but at the very moment, member to merchant transfers are also free, although there might be, in terms of those bylaws, up to a 1%. That's 100 basis points, which is still a hell of a lot less, excuse the language, of the 2.4% average bank interchange that's imposed through charge card systems, whether they be debit or credit cards, Daniel. But on the merchant program, let's absolutely draw a clarification between a merchant. Anybody, in fact, in the world recently announced by Goldback can become a Goldback accepting merchant on goldback.com. And that is a specific merchant that signed up to accept Goldback in full or partial payment for goods and services. On the other hand, within the United Precious Metals Association, there is a category of membership there that is a business membership who can apply through the UPMA to become listed as a merchant in the UPMA and able to display their goods and services for members of the UPMA to be able to buy and sell or to acquire those goods and services and be able to transfer gold and silver or goldbacks to that merchant directly in response or in exchange for those goods and services. Currently, that transfer is free of charge. But though that merchant community is being developed as we speak, it's going to be ramped up. And any individual that's a member of the UPMA, if they have a business, can freely apply to join through the UPMA. What you're showing right now is on the goldback.com website, and that is the application form to become listed as a merchant, which you can be listed anywhere in the face of the human planet as a Goldback accepting merchant. An attribute of that particular there are two attributes of that particular program that I feel like I need to share with the audience is that if you do sign up to accept Goldbacks, the person introducing that merchant to the Goldback community will receive a silverback. In addition to the merchant themselves signing up, will receive also a graded silverback. Now, a silverback is more a collectible numismatic item. The value of the silver embedded in that note is only pennies, but by no mistake, it's still a very valuable item that can be passed down as family heirlooms or spent, liquidated and spent. And then the other attribute to that is if a Goldback becomes issued in the jurisdiction of that merchant, then both the merchant and the referring entity will receive a limited early release of a Goldback. And there's a lot to be discussed on that, but these are commemorative notes that are both have the intrinsic specie legal tender value as well as a numismatic collector's value that attribute additional value to the building of that community. It's an incentive to build a community that's not paid in fiat. It's paid in something that's historic and memorable, Daniel. So that is basically the Goldback merchant program. And then, like, reverting back to the United Precious Metals Association merchant program, that is for the frictionless interchange of gold, of sound money, gold and silver, US legal tender, and the specie legal tender instrument of the Goldback between UPMA members and participating merchants in full or partial payment for goods and services, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, what the UPMA and Alpine Gold have been able to do in partnership with Goldback, which is gold cash, right? Like Goldbacks are phenomenal. This is the 1/2 Goldback. It's the smallest denomination of gold cash right now that's produced, and it's meant to be spent. And it is a phenomenal way to introduce to businesses, to individuals that want to save. And if they want, the leasing has been temporarily paused because it's met its maximum threshold, but you can still lease gold dollars and silver dollars, which are US legal tender coinage,
That's right.
minted by the US Mint. So you can earn anywhere from 2 to, I think, 3%. No, I think it's 2.5% for the gold dollars and silver
Well,
dollars.
gold and silver leases are 2% across the board,
Okay,
Daniel.
there
It's
you go.
only the Goldback that has a graded leasing tiers based on the quantity leased. But like you said, that's kind of reached its max right now. But there is a little bit, people are coming out of those, and whenever there's space, then first come, first serve, we'll get into those leases. And Daniel, what that is, and thank you so much for reminding me to speak about that, because that's another attribute of both the Alpine Gold and the United Precious Metals Association collaboration. And that is that not only are you preserving your wealth, but you're growing it by leasing it out. So you now own your asset. It's like owning an apartment and renting the apartment to a tenant. You are owning your gold and silver, but you're letting somebody else use the collateral value of that, and you're deriving a return on it. So you are increasing the holding of your gold and silver at the same time as preserving your wealth. So it is a real, it's a double whammy of benefit right there, which is one of the unique benefits. So thank you so much for reminding me. That should have been off the top of my head behind the zero buy sell spread. I should have talked about the leasing program. So thank you. You should come and be a salesman for us, Daniel.
Right? I know all the systems hand in hand.
You do. You know them like the back of your hand, and
Yeah.
I applaud you for that, sir.
Yeah, and it's something that Warren Buffett, which you opened up with, criticized, that gold and silver just sits there and does nothing. That's not true anymore.
It's not true.
You can earn a yield, and you're getting paid in gold and silver every month.
Yep.
So it's that's when the yields get paid monthly. And it's a great system. There are only, as far as I know, there's only 2 companies that have monetary systems for sound money. That's Alpine Gold with the UPMA and Kinesis. That's it. There are no other companies that have full monetary systems for sound money. And the UPMA is in Utah. I think you guys have, or Alpine Gold now has, was it 3 vaults or 4 vaults?
Well, we have the Wyoming Reserve in Casper, Wyoming. We have the Perpetual Storage Inc. in Little Cottonwood Canyon. We have our own vault, and in Alp we have actually we have 2. We have our main cold storage vault in the base. It's $4 billion vault down there, and then we have the one where we operate out of our head office at the very moment, and then each branch has its own insured vaulting as well. And we are in the mode of expanding our vaulting capacities and making it decentralizing those and putting them in the communities where we have branches. And also we have a movement where we can have a vaulting as a service, vaulting and sales desk as a service. Essentially, the infrastructure that we've established, that infrastructure can be available as a service as well. So we're providing the auditing, the system of record. And really, I mean, look, this is big enough. We're going to need 1,000 Kinesises and 1,000 Alpine Gold Exchange to help the world adopt sound money away from fiat. We're competitors, but we are competitors that are well aligned and soul brothers, soulmates. For the good of mankind, Daniel. So we all have to sustain ourselves, but there's more than. I mean, you can't. If you're talking about 300 trillion or whatever the world GDP is, how do you serve that? You have to have a democratized mechanism of service, Daniel, and that's where Citizens for Sound Money. And I was delighted to be nominated by Larry and organized by you onto the board of the Sound Money Trade Association, and look very, very forward to building relationships with our competitors, all in the same alignment of serving our fellow man with sound money and returning. Through sound money, people are going to be educated to what true freedom is, and this is freedom of thought, freedom of consumption. And I'm talking nutritional consumption and services and goods consumption, etc. There's so much that leads away from this, Daniel, that anyways, I wax lyrical on this, and I want to respect your time and be, so thank you for allowing me that opportunity to wax a little lyrical and go off script, no script, but anyways, go off plan, right, a little bit.
Yeah, no, you were reading my mind. I was immediately going to say that Kinesis and Alpine Gold and UPMA are all founding members of the Sound Money Trade Association. We've been working for the better part of a year on creating a global, international sound money trade association to bring and bringing to competitors together who believe in the sound money movement, who believe in the mission of the movement of bringing freedom, financial freedom, and liberty to the world. Because truly, the only way to free people from the chains and shackles of the fiat enslavement, is what I call it, is bringing real money, sound money, and making it a global monetary system. And that's the whole point of the Sound Money Trade Association. We're bringing auditors, certifiers, insurance companies, bullion dealers, wholesalers, asset-backed digital currency companies, vaulting companies, bringing them all together to create the standards for the industry, and also creating the definitions from the industry, and creating really an organization that will lobby on behalf of the industry and the people to bring sound money to the world. So,
and absolutely, and the timing is it's divinely inspired timing, Daniel, is what my thought process is on this, because it's democratization of the distribution of wealth away from the hands of elitist government deep staters and those that choose and desire to exert power over the common man. And that is an antithesis to a sustainable modern society. And we need to escape that and be aware. Forewarned is forearmed, Daniel, and this helps on the education process. We should have chapters in every school district, and start at the grassroots, just like the mechanism. Yes, with that being said, I don't want to jump down too many rabbit holes and give too much away on this, but I'm with you completely, 100% viscerally and by molecule in the alignment of this, together with all participants. We have to make our own money, but we have to collaborate completely across the board in aggregate to be able to help and change the course of mankind, Daniel.
Absolutely. And you can join the Sound Money movement and Cities for Sound Money by going to citiesforsoundmoney.org. Let me get the link up here, citiesforsoundmoney.org. It's our new website, and we have 2 membership classes. Our plan, my goal is to have state chapters, individual chapters in every jurisdiction that we have enough members. We're busy building everything. The Sound Money Trade Association, we're the chartering organization. It will be an independent body that Gary and the board of directors and its membership will run. But we've been busy getting that off the ground. We're out there lobbying. And if you want to support the Sound Money movement and become a member of the of Cities for Sound Money and the movement, because you that are watching right now are part of the movement, you can go to the 25 Pioneer or 100 Pioneer, and you will get access to our news updates, videos, and we also have an aggregator. In fact, let me show you. It's called Metal Markup. This is something that our late founder decided to push as an exclusive benefit to our members. And if it's loading, the internet's running slow. So this is a bullion aggregator that shows you the cheapest bullion prices in the US and Canada. We pull from dozens of bullion dealers in the US and Canada. We got silver, US gold, Canadian silver, and this is an exclusive benefit. So by joining Cities for Sound Money, I'm a 100 Pioneer member, you get access to Metal Markup, and you support the mission as well. And then if you want to support the educational side and get a tax write-off, you can, there's no membership for the C3, but you can donate to one of our initiatives, either grants and scholarship fund, help with our TV show, curriculum development, and our Sound Money Academy. Our Sound Money Academy is going to be a learning module system where we provide content with our partners to teach people financial literacy and teach people about sound money principles. What we're doing is so important, especially today with the way that the world is going, with wars and rumors of wars and inflation and debasement. It is so important that we educate the majority of the people. And Cities for Sound Money is the only nonprofit organization, and Sound Money Movement is the only nonprofit organization that is doing what we're doing, education and lobbying. Out there's a lot of great organizations out there, but they are not nonprofits. They're for-profit companies. We're the only ones that are representing the entire movement not captive to any company. That's why we work so well with Alpine Gold, Kinesis, Monetary Metals, Golden Eagle. We have dozens of industry partners. Zhang Enterprises with Lynette Zhang, who donated a national headquarters so we can have a physical presence in Arizona. We're actually going this week as this airs. We've already landed there, and we are already checking out our new headquarters. We just have so many people who believe in our mission, and we want you to be a part of that mission. We want you to join the sound money movement so that when a law passes that we help push, your contribution helped with that. So, Gary, we have a few minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to share with everybody? Any news or any updates or links?
Yeah, just a quick reminder, Daniel, I know you know this very well indeed, but the United Precious Metals Association, in collaboration with Alpine Gold Exchange, makes possible a referral bonus for individuals and entities that would like to broaden the, teach people about the UPMA and have folks join the UPMA. There's a mechanism whereby that referring individual, or that referring entity, including SC4SM, can derive a certain referral bonus from that, whether it's in the form of a donation from UPMA and Alpine Gold, or whether it's the form of an actual referral bonus, whatever it is. There is a tax treatment required, though. If you are going to do that, and you're going to earn more than $1,000 in a year, then we're asking you to give us a W-9 so we can furnish you with a 1099 indicating what you've earned from that as an individual or as a corporation or entity. So there is a fundraising mechanism available. And this is, you can take this down to any booster club for any school sport can have their community join the UPMA, and without any physical money out of anybody's pocket. This is paid by the United Precious Metals Association in order to incentivize the sharing of the educational concepts of sound money. So that's it. That would be a great way just to, to kind of like tie a ribbon around it, Daniel. It's just the fact that this is not just a passive organization, but you can actually you can use it as a fundraising mechanism for your school sport, instead of going around selling pizza coupons. Not to say that's a bad thing, but it's an additional opportunity that everybody needs to be aware of, the importance of having some of their resources in gold and silver, and being then incentivized to make that awareness available to folks in their community and businesses, Daniel.
Absolutely. The Alpine Gold and UPMA partnership, you guys have created a monetary system, and it brings liberty and freedom to everybody who's a part of it. So I just want to commend you and commend everybody at Alpine Gold and the UPMA for what you have done. And thank you for coming on. It's great. We are good friends. You're now a board member of the Sound Money Trade Association, and we're going to see each other. Is it going to be the first time we meet each other in person?
In person, but I feel like I know you as a brother for ages now. But just yeah. So I will just like to finish. The board of the UPMA has invited other entities like Alpine Gold Exchange and Kinesis to utilize the UPMA for their purposes. So the UPMA wants to become ubiquitous, and so should do. It's, they're not a captive audience of Alpine Gold Exchange. They are available and open for any and all participants to utilize the UPMA, Daniel. So that part of my role at SMTA is going to be to publicize the membership of SMTA, as well as participation with C4SM and with the UPMA. That's a lot of acronyms, Daniel. We need to have a little dictionary of acronyms, Daniel.
Alphabet soup for sound money.
Love it. Alphabet soup for soundmoney.org.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody's gonna buy it. I got what? Somebody's gonna buy that.
That's okay. Let all welcome, Daniel. We need as many people working in this direction and alignment and linking arms as much as possible, Daniel, as you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we are very supportive of all those companies and the initiatives that you're pushing forward. And we're definitely looking forward to bringing other companies in to use the UPMA system so that more people can get access to sound money systems. So
far and wide.
Gary, thank you so much. We're going to wrap up the broadcast here, and just with a few words. So thank you, and we'll talk after the broadcast.
All right, I'm on it. I'll stay on until you tell me otherwise, Daniel. Thank you. What a great honor. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Looking forward to engaging. Please reach to Daniel or me should you want to learn more.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
So we're wrapping up the broadcast. Gary, great guest. Hopefully, you guys all learned a little bit about Alpine Gold Exchange, UPMA, Goldback, and the fact that the UPMA is looking for other partners to utilize their technology for creating sound money monetary systems. So, if you enjoyed this and all of our broadcasts, I ask you to please follow us, subscribe to. The Sound Money, or sorry, Cities for Sound Money YouTube. We actually got to 1,000 subscribers last night on a live broadcast, and we some people unsubscribe, but support us. We're trying to monetize our YouTube channel, so we have some other revenue streams. As a nonprofit, we're looking for every opportunity to support our mission and keep spreading the sound money movement. And follow us on X. At For Sound Money. Let me go ahead and throw that up there. For Sound Money. And our YouTube is For Sound Money as well. Well, everybody, thank you so much. We are going to be interviewing somebody from Kinesis next week on Friday. So keep a lookout for our newsletters and our posts for our interview for Kinesis. And we hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. Thank you so much.